Okay, the final technique we're going to look at is doing integration tests against Sitecore, where you're actually running Sitecore code that's talking to databases, creating and deleting items, but using unit test techniques such as and tools such as NUnit to run those tests. And the classic tool for running integration tests against Sitecore is Alistair Denny's CodeFlood TestRunner. This is a tool he built to run unit tests or to run NUnit tests from a browser window. And he put this together to support development on the Revolver command line tool for Sitecore. So let's run a test. And this is testing the create item command in Revolver. And we'll run the tests. And we see all the tests passed. And behind the scenes, we can look and see what that actually did. And if we go to create item, just a second, is this the one I'm looking for? No, it's this. Okay, create an item. Here we have the test that was actually run. And we can see that it is using the NUnit framework. We see we have some setup code. And we're working with this test root, and this test root is used to do some cleanup here. So after we've created the item, we're able to delete it. And when we create the item, you can see we're setting a new item name, and we're setting a date. So it's easy. Sometimes if a problem happens during the testing, it doesn't succeed in cleaning up after itself, and you actually see items sitting in your content tree. So when you're dealing with integration tests, you're dealing with real Sitecore content, and it's talking to things, so things can go wrong. And that's one reason why you tend to keep integration tests separate from unit tests. Unit tests should be completely reliable and bulletproof because they're pure logic, whereas when you're talking with integration tests, you're in the messier domain of databases and system resources and so forth. And finally, I just want to point out that this testing framework uses some nice separation of concerns here, where there's fundamental setup and cleanup happening in this base command test. And if we take a look at that, we can see that we're actually creating this test root here, which is also date stamped. And then that test root gets deleted during the teardown. So here we're using object inheritance to do some fundamental setup and teardown in the base command, and then in the individual in the base test, and then in the individual tests we do setup and teardown that sits on top of that. So that's a look at what you can do with integration testing. Again, this technique is most useful if you are doing something along the lines of what Alistair is doing here, where you're building tooling for Sitecore. So if you were going to build a command line tool like Revolver or PowerShell extensions, or if you are building a ORM layer like Glass, like the Glass mapper, then you would definitely want to use a technique like this. If you're building regular business logic, then I would steer you towards unit testing.